Monday, baby. We here. And if this is your first time joining Mental Push-Up Mondays, I'd just like to give a big old welcome to you. This vlog is all about personal growth and development, about us becoming the best versions of ourselves, because by us doing that, we get the opportunity to create our best and most authentic life. So welcome to you. But let's jump right into it. The title of today's message is Back from Distraction. Living with intention and vision. So this message was inspired actually by two things. So the first was, about 2 weeks ago, I started with my relationship coach. And the first assignment was, she wanted me to take 30 minutes and just simply think about, what is it that I really wanted? Like, what was it that I actually wanted in my life? And so from doing that one activity, it was almost like a ripple effect. Because for a very long time, I hadn't really thought about what exactly did I want. I'm just kind of like almost like moseying on in life, but not taking a space to really think about what do I want and am I living in that. So the first takeaway for me as I went through that process was, I recognized that it was hard for me to be present in that one activity. Like, it was hard because, we get so distracted by our phones sometimes. You always got your phone, you listen to music, you listen to TV, something's on to kind of distract you, to while you're doing something. And so it was really challenging for me to take 30 minutes just to write down what I want. That was hard. And then the second thing is, I looked at what I had going. I recognized, I said, wait a minute, this is what I want, but I'm not living with intention towards that. And so then the second thing that showed up for me was, I was sitting at home. It was like Saturday night, it was like 11:30. And this past month has been just crazy with work, like all kind of projects from every angle. And so it was like 11:30. I haven't had a weekend just to chillax, anything for a very long time. I'm like, man, this is not life. It is so much more to life than just freaking working all the time. But it gave me an opportunity to kind of reassess and kind of get back from distraction and get back on the path of what I truly want. If we're not careful, what can happen is we can just be kind of moseying along in life, and it's like we're just existing, reacting to life, instead of us setting and creating the type of life that we want and living with intention. And so I thought it was just a perfect time in general, because I was like, wait a minute, this is the fourth quarter. Like, today is October 1st, and we have 3 months to finish the year strong. They always say the fourth quarter is the most important part of a game. And so I was thinking, I was like, man, this is the perfect time. Let me get back on track. So I just wanted to share how I reassessed, and now I'm getting back on track. And I would like for you to join me too. So check it out. So I think the first thing that my coach, she set me on the right path. Asking myself, what is it that I want? What do you want? Because the thing is, we have to know what we're shooting for. In education, we have this thing called backwards design. And so backwards design is like, you have your assessment, and then from there you build backwards towards, this is the goal that I want. I'm gonna lay my lessons out to get me there. So we almost have to do that thing with our own life. Like, when we talk about vision, what do I see for my life? If I was to paint a picture, I was to make a movie in my mind and say, this is what my life looked like. And so what I had to do, I had to look at all the areas of my life, relationally, spiritually, emotionally. What do I want for myself? It was very powerful for me, because I said, what do I really want? Man, I want to live in my purpose, man. I want to speak. And so one of the key realizations for me was, there's a difference between me living in my purpose and doing what I'm talented at. So because I recognized, I said, math, sports, that is my talent. My calling is motivation, inspiring, empowerment. Because even when I self-reflected and I had to look back, I said, wait a minute. The reason I love teaching is because empowering students to believe in themselves. I said, that's my purpose. Running my mouth about empowerment, personal growth, all that stuff. And so that allowed me to just kind of take a step back and say, okay, well, now how can I plan towards that? But I think once we decide what we want, another layer to that, the second thing is, we have to say, what are the obstacles that could potentially show up, and how have I gotten in my own way? Because I think in our minds, I think as just humans, we literally have the best intentions, but sometimes we get in our own way. And I had to have some hard conversations with myself. Because I recognized that I was kind of getting in my own way in two specific ways. So one was that I recognized that sometimes I like to work a lot for two reasons. Number one, I don't like to connect sometimes. Sometimes I like to hide, just to kind of shield myself from being vulnerable and intimate and close. I hide behind working all the time. And that was a hard truth to accept. And then secondly, I recognized, I work all the time because in some ways I attach my worth and value to the amount of money I make. And I've just had a lot of opportunities, and it was like I was measuring who I was as a person, how valuable I was just on, how much money I was making. And so those are some hard truths to accept. And so now that I'm aware of it, I can operate in a different way because it's like, I know what this is. And so I think the third piece for me was, what are you willing to sacrifice to get it? Because whenever you want anything that's maybe you've never done, if you've never had before, it's going to require you to give something up. And so one of the things I recognized, I said, well, who do I need to be to get to this next level? As we always say, every level requires a different version of ourselves, so we have to give up some things. So I had to self-reflect, and I said, I've been challenging myself professionally, but with my coach, as she pushed me, she said, well, you want a relationship, right? I said, yeah. She said, you're gonna have to challenge yourself there too, because as I always say, it's I love some of my little habits. They're so comfortable, it's just like this is who I am, this is how I operate. But I understand that if we want to exceed and get to the things that we want to do, sometimes that requires us to give those things up because they really are not in our best interest. So the next thing for me was, I said to myself, if I want it, work towards the vision. I think that's key, because what I recognized, I was doing a lot of stuff, and I said I wanted a lot of things, but my actions, they were not tied to that. And in some ways, I wasn't even taking any action. So it was either unintentional moves or no moves at all. And so I think it's really important for us when we start thinking about vision and intention, is that when we have that vision in our mind, almost us like thinking about, like, if I'm going to do something, it needs to be tied to that. And so the last thing, this is actually active right now. And this is where you come in. This is where we are going to all do this together. Is accountability. We are going to start a mastermind group to hold us accountable to things that we want. So I want you to take a second, and I just want you to think about 3 things that you absolutely want to happen over this last quarter of the year. It's about 3 months left. It's October 1st and January 1st when Ryan Seacrest, and he's counting down his year, and he says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want to have? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? I want you to think about those 3 top things. And then the second part of that, I want you to write down tactics to get there. By when, and what tactics, how? How am I going to get there? So let's wrap this up in a nice little bow. Number 1, ask yourself, what is it that I actually truly want? Me. Not what everybody else thinks. What is my truth? Secondly, ask yourself, what are the obstacles that can get in the way? And how have I gotten in my own way to where I've got to this point? Very key information, because then we know how to address it. Thirdly, asking what am I willing to give up to have this thing? What am I willing to sacrifice? Because normally when we reach a new level, remember, we're going to have to sometimes sacrifice who we are to become what it is that we want, or to have what it is that we want. And then fourth, if I want it, I'm going to have to work towards the vision. So the tactics that I take will be tied to that. And then lastly, this is where we all come in, accountability. How can I hold myself accountable? I'd love for you to join me and for us to hold each other accountable to these last 3 months to identify the 3 things that you want And then how are you gonna get there? So let's hold each other accountable and make this thing happen. I'd love to start a mastermind for us to make this happen and hold each other accountable. So those are tidbits, words of wisdom for this week. Get out there this week. Do those mental push-ups. What do you want? How are you gonna get it? Fourth quarter, baby. Let's go in. Be bold, be brave, be you, because you, my friend, are beautiful. And I am out.